This is so fucking bad. All right, I'm done with you. I am done with you. That's it. Nobody's showing up. I don't care. I'll still do it anyway. Doing the show anyway. Like somebody here. And welcome to the Highest IQ Extreme Right Wing live stream on YouTube. Welcome, Judas Flychild. It's apparently you are a socialist and moving to Israel. Welcome to the show. You are indeed first. You are the first of all my wide subscriber base to see my fantastic new high IQ super spectacles. I now have to wear boomer goggles at all times. These are like super expensive titanium frame. The problem is, one, I keep straining my eyes when I shouldn't be straining them. And am I screwing up the light here? And they're like the super boomer specs where like the bottom part's where you see up close and the middle's where you see middle and the distance is where you see the distance, and you're not supposed to move your eyes a whole lot because that fucks things up. So you're just supposed to point your nose at what you want to look at, and then it's clear. And it takes like a couple of weeks to learn how to use the glasses. So, and I've only had them for like a couple of days. So I don't really have the habit down pat yet. But you know what? We're gonna keep at it. We will master this new way of seeing the world, because you have to see the world in new ways. You know, It's one of the things I noticed in my previous streams. I would always say the title of the stream is up here, and I'd be pointing to the top of the screen. But that's just the way it looks to me in the StreamYard software. The title of the stream is really down here. I keep going, hey, the title of the stream is here, and the title is, but I'm pointed in the wrong place. So I'm going to try in the future, now that I have the super glasses, the super boomer goggles, to point in the right direction, and to, if I can, point some people in the right direction, because there's a lot of confusion. There's yes, buy Bitcoin. There will be Bitcoin content. I assure you, Mr. Fly Chai, there will be Bitcoin content pretty much with every stream I'm going to do, because I am not a nationalist. I am not a communist. I'm not a conservative or a liberal. I'm a Bitcoinist. You know what I mean? I belong to a network of people who don't need permission and who can't be stopped. That's what I believe in, and I believe it is the incentive, a much more honest incentive system that will wipe out the current world order. But not yet. Great title for this stream. How many divisions? A lot of people might know that Russia was planning on taking over Europe militarily, and some of Stalin's advisors said to him, "Oh, Stalin, you can't attack Western Europe because it's full of Catholics, and the Pope has all kinds of power, and they'll resist you." And Stalin famously said to whoever's advisor was, he said, "How many divisions does the Pope command?" Meaning, how many divisions of men, right? A division of infantry is between 10 and 15,000 men. Right now in Washington, D.C., we got 2.5 divisions, maybe a full third division coming. You have 2.5, maybe 3 divisions of infantry for an inauguration that, if there was no infantry there, if they didn't have 2.5 divisions of men, there would be nobody there. There would be Biden and his cabinet, or whoever has to show up, the Supreme Court guys, and it would be empty. Like, no one would show up in Washington, D.C. There would be more reporters covering the event than people participating in the event. That's how bad it would be. So they've just fleshed it out with 25 or 30,000 spectators. Now those spectators have to be there because it's their obligation as National Guardsmen. But they literally had to import a crowd. They had to import an audience because they were going to get zero fucking audience. And this kids is going to make for a very, very long 4 years. Recently, there was the story of the man that they found in a car. He was driving to Washington, D.C., and he had a Glock and 500 rounds of ammo. He had like a little pop gun, and this is not a real gun. This is a training gun. Doesn't have any real bullets in it. It's a laser gun. Where's a laser? With 500 rounds of ammo. He's a terrorist. It's a terrorism. It's a terrorism. And then quietly, I just saw somewhere in my newsfeed, it said, "Oh, actually, he was one of the security guards supposed to work the inauguration, but his paperwork was kind of screwed up, and they didn't know who he was, so they've released him now, with no charges, and that's that." So you can expect literally 4 years of this hysterical, breathless, "Oh my God, we're under attack" stories. By whoever the bad guy of the week is, and it's going to be different versions of white supremacy, of white people, whiteness, Christianity, whatever. It's going to be different versions of that for the next 4 fucking years, and this is going to be a very, very, very long 4 years, because after that big announcement that they've captured the terrorists in their black and white uniforms, when they show up, when you see pictures of them, it's going to be like a school bus full of nuns. You know what I mean? It's going to be like a school bus full of 85-year-old nuns that are wearing support socks and walking with fucking aluminum canes. and then they're going to quietly go, oh no, they're not crazy right-wing Christian extremists. They're nuns of the Benedictine order or some shit like that. Oops, sorry. It's going to be like that for 4 fucking years. 4 years. It's going to be a very, very long 4 years. And what they're looking for, where are we here? Where are we? I got some stuff. Oh, I got some stuff to show people. There we go. We got to go. We got to do a screen sharing. This is all. I'm the master of this super high tech stuff. So we're going to share screen. Viewers now. Woohoo! Big numbers. Big numbers. So this is what was planned for today. This was the big plan of the day. This January 17th, everybody was supposed to come out. All the Pepes, all the right-wing extremists, all the frog people were supposed to come out and march around Washington, D.C. or some other place with your AR-15 and prove that you were a terrorism and that this would justify every move that the federal government was going to make. Now, Pepe, he may be a frog, you know what I mean? And I don't know how big a frog's brain is relative to the size of its body, but Pepe he's not that dumb. You know what I mean? You can't live in two worlds. You can't be like half in the water and half on the land and own an AR-15 and be really that dumb. So nobody showed up for the great Fed op of January 17th. And even now, the head, whatever, Nick Fuentes, the chief lightning rod for all federal operations going forward. They got in front of this. They knew this thing was going to be a disaster. Even I looked at it like normie Facebook groups that were Second Amendment Facebook groups, and they knew it was a federal op. Like they knew days and days ago. So this was a spectacular disaster. But most of these feds, or the local cops that are working with the feds, they're getting overtime. They're working Sunday. They're getting like double overtime. This goes towards their pensions and stuff. They love this shit. Expect a lot more of this as old fat cops who aren't really good at catching criminals anymore look to pad their pensions by doing, counterterrorism work. But if you're like Pepe and if you have an AR-15, expect a rough time. Expect a rough time going forward. E.R. Manrick in the chat. Thanks for these streams. By the way, if you go to Glasses USA, you can get them for like a quarter of the price. I may do that in the future because I'm thinking I don't currently own a motorcycle, but I used to be a real motorcycle fanatic. And I was thinking, like, how do I get a helmet over these glasses or get these inside a helmet? Because the crushing force of the foam on the side of the helmet usually wreaks havoc on these little on the frames and stuff. And I used to do that when I just wore sunglasses, but they were like cheap sunglasses, like $10, $15 sunglasses. I'd smash them into the helmet and take them out, and they would last one summer or one season or whatever, and I didn't care. I just threw them away. These things being much more expensive, I would be really unwilling to do that, and I'm not willing to wear a half-shell helmet and compromise my safety that way. So if I do get another bike, I'm going to have to either get like a cheap, maybe a cheap pair of glasses like what you're talking about that I won't mind banging up too much to use. I don't know. That's at some point in the future, but I guess like everybody, I overthink some stuff, and I'm planning ahead for stuff that hasn't even happened yet. Judas Fly Chai in the chat. I don't know what you mean. How about you tell me about what you mean? Oh, Judas, oh, you must be blazing away. But yeah, I started this stream, by the way, lubed. You know what I mean? Last time I went like 35 minutes without any alcohol. And I think my excuse for that was I just got off work and I was supposed to work today, but they didn't have literally nothing for me to do. So I did nothing all day. And I said, well, now I got to do a stream because I don't even have the excuse like I'm tired from work because I didn't do any work. But anyway, so let's look at my notes and see what else I got. Here we go. This is exciting news, Bitcoin news. I got the Trump bucks. I got my $600 Trump bucks in the mail. The mail carrier handed it to me Friday. I immediately took it up, brought it up here, deposited it with my smartphone. As soon as my smartphone went ding, that deposit was in, I went right over to the Gemini exchange and bought $600 worth of Bitcoin, like immediately. From the woman handing me the check to me clicking buy $600 worth of Bitcoin, I think was about 2.5 minutes. And even though I got my check late, there's a Twitter feed that's the $600 stimulus says that right now, if you had gotten your check, or I guess direct deposit on the first, or when the first day that they went out and bought Bitcoin, your $600 stimulus would currently, as of today, I checked right before the show, be worth $759. Holy crap, I almost choked on that. So let's keep that updated as we go along. Your man, Rick. Hopefully guns are taken away. The problem is the right doesn't own a language and currency. They can think about that instead of saying once they go this far, then 1776. Yeah, that's a boomer. That's a boomer fantasy. We're gonna put down our watered down fucking shitty American beer and grab our AR-15s and driving our Corvettes down to the state capitol and take back our government. They're not going to do any such thing. Literally everyone talking about armed insurrection or armed this and that. Nobody's been in the military. Nobody's been in combat. I think they're largely expecting that they're going to get someone else to do the work and then they're going to take the credit for it at the end of it. That's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. It is a LARP, which brings me, I'll tell you what, I put a link down below to, I don't know if you guys know this. There's such a thing as PrisonTube. There's YouTube videos that are about prison and they're like big. There's one I stumbled across by accident. This kid, what's his name? Jacob Cherry. He's got about 250,000 subscribers to his PrisonTube channel. He's got like tattoos on his throat and stuff. White kid who was in the Bloods gang in Orlando and did 3 years in lockup in prison in the Florida prison system. And now he does a YouTube show about not only his time in prison, but all this other stuff. And you want to talk about people doing dumb things. And this is how I first found him. And I put a link to the video down below. Some black kid from Philadelphia. Apparently, the way these kids are using social media is they go and do diss videos. So they go to a gang area, and apparently someone in Los Angeles started this. I don't know who the guy is, but it's like a rich rap guy goes to like where the Bloods or the Crips or wherever are, and he does a disrespect or a diss video. And he spits and knocks shit over and spray paints over their spray paint stuff, which would normally get you killed. But this guy shows up like with an entourage of armed bodyguards. You know what I mean? And he does like a quick 60-second video, throws it up on Instagram or something like that, and gets all sorts of follows. And this has inspired nobodies, kids all over the country, to do similar things. This kid was walking in Philly. He wasn't really a gang kid or a street kid. He was like supposedly a comedian. I don't know how much of a comedian he was, but he decided to walk to a local part of Philly where there was a lot of gangs, and he was going to do a diss video about some rapper from Chicago. And just because the kid's black doesn't mean he has a brain in his head. He's not street smart. He walks past another black kid on the sidewalk who knows the second black kid knows that guy doesn't belong in the neighborhood, and he just turns around and follows him. And the kid takes out his phone and he's going to do his, yo, fuck so-and-so, Chicago, this and that, blah, 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 whatever he's going to do. And the kid who's from that hood, those are his fucking streets, comes up with a gun and says, what are you doing here? And the kid's like, he turns his phone at him, And guess what? The real gang kid just guns him down right there. So that story and the guy who tells it, I'd link to it down below. And it's an interesting channel. I thought it was a pretty interesting channel all in all. And the kid's a very good storyteller, shockingly good storyteller. I watched a bunch of his content, and now he's managed to monetize the ghetto because he's gotten out of the criminal lifestyle. He's living in Boston now, and he makes videos about rappers shooting other rappers from the comfort of his own home, and he's got 250,000 subscribers on YouTube. And when you click on one of his videos, one of the first advertisements you see, hilariously, at least for a boomer like me, is Marie Osmond promoting the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes for a video where the guy's got like throat tattoos and he's got this cool intro. He's a very well-spoken kid and very entertaining videos. You might not think Prison Tube would be interesting, but I found it sort of interesting. But mostly because the way social media people are interacting with it, in the case of this black kid, he really doesn't understand the world. He only understands the world through the internet and social media. And he went out onto the street, onto the real fucking streets, and ended up getting himself killed. So our interaction with social media can have extremely negative consequences. We all sort of know this. Everybody knows I got scammed out of my Bitcoin back in October. So, I mean, I didn't get killed, so then I guess that's a big plus there. But the inability to judge correctly what is real and what social media is costing a lot of people a lot, I think. Speaking of which, to continue, I did get scammed out of my Bitcoin. Why? I had all my Bitcoin on Ledger Nano. I got I got the baby ones. I should have got these come with a wire. The other ones come are Bluetooth. So the way I solved the problem of ever having that happen again, it may not be the smartest thing ever, but this is what I've done, is I bought multiple Ledger Nanos. So now the Bitcoin that I do own is, I don't know, maybe it's all on these two and this one's empty or whatever. It's spread out on all three, but I'm never going to be in a position where I'm going to lose all my Bitcoin again because I just dumped it out like dumping out a wallet, right? It's more difficult and more steps to get to it. So that means I have more time to check myself and not, listen, the chances I'm going to get conned again the same way are like approaching zero. But as I'm fond of saying, the real world is the opposite of school. In school, first you read the lesson and then you take the test. In the real world, first you take the test and then you learn the lesson. So that's a concrete example of me learning my lesson and taking additional steps to make myself, my labor, and my Bitcoin secure in the future. So, and listen, and speaking of which, the wonderful incoming Biden administration got scammed by a phony live stream that YouTube put in my feed. That was the Winklevoss twins that had been recorded earlier in the week, with bots in the chat and stuff. And it was, hey, double your Bitcoin. And I trust the Winklevoss twins because they're probably the two most honest guys in crypto. And the live stream's going on, and there's people in the chat, and I couldn't believe it. Looking back at it 10 minutes after it was over, I was like, holy fuck, I got scammed. And it was 5.86 Bitcoin, which was at the time $67,600, and now would be something like 225,000, about 200 plus thousand. So every time I watch the number go up, it doesn't feel as good as it should feel. And what I ended up doing, I'll just briefly go over this. I emptied my checking account within like 30 minutes of realizing what happened. Bought more Bitcoin. I have a small gun safe with some cash in it. I used to have cash in it. I immediately took that the next day to the bank, deposited, boom, bought more Bitcoin. And then I sold 3 guns that I used to own, and bought more Bitcoin. And then I borrowed money from my bank and bought Bitcoin. And all of that between October and December. So when Bitcoin was between 11 and 13.5. So that was that. And now, whatever, you move on. But that was my story. And I've seen other people too. It's amazing. You think it can't happen to you. And I think particularly in the Bitcoin space or Bitcoin people, they imagine hardware hacks or something like that. And I think most of the technology is reasonably good, reasonably reliable. The weakness is always here. You know what I mean? You'd prefer not to admit it, and it's impossible to see that you could be manipulated that way. But it's certainly true. A lot of other people have been scammed in history. And part of what makes this sort of thing so tragic is that you can lose it all in an instant. But if you're going to put your efforts and your labor and exchange your fiat currency for a decentralized cryptocurrency, shouldn't you decentralize it, right? You shouldn't keep all your crypto in one place, one central location, right? Decentralize your decentralized currency, kind of like walk the walk, right? That would be a good idea, because if you have it all in one place, it can all be lost just as quickly. But if you have it in 4 or 5 different places, it's much more difficult to lose it all at once. You might lose some of it, but you won't lose all of it. So I should have done that, and I had it half of my mind to do that, but I always would go, what's going to happen? And now I know it. Now I know what could happen. So really, really, truly a painful fucking lesson, especially at my age. But what are you going to do? You got to live with it. Got to move the fuck on and try to get your sense of humor back. All right. Yeah, by the way, Joe Biden's stimulus is going to be 1.9 trillion, in addition to the 6.2 trillion that Trump approved of. And back when America used to have a budget, like when I was a boy, when I was a teenager, at the end of Ronald Reagan's, or like 4 years into Reagan's presidency, they said that America had a $1 trillion deficit. They kept saying, we owe $1 trillion. It's $1 trillion deficit. And they would go crazy. And in 42nd Street in Manhattan, they had a debt clock and how much we owe in the fucking deficit and blah, 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 blah. And I read these newspaper articles back when people used to read newspapers, that if you took $100 bills and stacked them one on top of another, that $1 trillion would go from the surface of the earth to the surface of the moon. Now, knowing how honest and accurate the media is, you can judge that for yourself. But at the time, $1 trillion was like scandalous. It was all over the news. Now we're 28 trillion in the fucking hole. Man, they don't even blink. And Joe Biden's going to add another 1.9 trillion, not 2 trillion, because that would be too much. But the 1.9, people in their heads, they round it down. They're like, it's just like 1. It's like a slightly more than 1, instead of the fact knowing that it's 2. So the first 2 trillion, and that's just to get us through this problem. And I'm sure, and Biden's, somewhere in Biden's term, there'll be another reason to just, print more trillions because reasons, right? Here's the list of reasons why we need to completely devalue the fucking currency. And that's why, and I've said this to a bunch of different people, Bitcoin will become the world's reserve currency. It's absolutely going to happen. We got 3 viewers now. Welcome to my 3rd viewer, even though you're not in the chat. And this is, people wonder why I don't love Trump. Trump did nothing to stop this. He did nothing to derail this or warn anybody that it's coming. Most of the problem, the Weimar conditions that are that are going to be coming down the road will come at a much, much later time. A much, much, much later time. What do I got here? I'm gonna look through my This is a great one. I gotta look. This is gonna be. This is where everybody is right now. I've had this meme, had this on my hard drive for I don't know how fucking long, and I just found it. And I just found it. I don't know who came up with it, but it is brilliant, right? And this is that old Charlie Chaplin meme that's been done 1,000 different ways, but this is where everybody is right now. I was in Jonathan Poll's channel the other night, Saturday night, and I was in the chat for a little bit because I was driving back from Philly. I had a job going to Philly late. And people who they dislike my worldview and they don't really argue with me, but they snipe at me from the chat. All of a sudden they're like, "Hey, what do you think of Bitcoin? What about Bitcoin? What about Bitcoin? What about Bitcoin?" Yeah, well, this is going to come to dominate people's minds in ways they can't imagine because everyone's going out of their minds broke. Yeah, I'm on Twitter. What the hell is my Twitter handle? I am you can just type in STFU James M. STFU, capital STFU, space James, space M. And there's what do I have? What do I have an avatar? I got a Bitcoin for an avatar. So there you go. I can earn my Twitter follows. But Trump didn't do anything to soften this impact or delay it. And for everyone that's thinking there's this political solution or that political solution, you're all just wasting your time and spinning your wheels, because once the money no longer buys food and shelter and clothing for your children, people are really going to freak out whether they have AR-15s or they don't have AR-15s. And then things are going to get really ugly. Most of the dissident right was really, I'm old. I've been in this long enough to remember when demography was destiny, and once Texas turns blue, there'll be no turning black, once Florida goes blue, no Republican will ever win again, and everyone was 100% certain that the evil master plan of George Soros and the Rothschilds was to flood America. We're going to flood America with non-whites, and they're going to overwhelm the whites, and then you'll never win again another election. Well, that's not how they did it, right? They did it using voting machines, and electronic voting, and in a high-tech, all the votes came from Germany because some guy hit, every time the button went, to beep for Trump, they clicked it to boop for Biden. So yes, they're flooding America with non-whites, but that's primarily to lower wages and to guarantee that Americans will not unionize again. That's mostly what they're doing. They don't particularly love them or even hate us that much. Don't get me wrong, they hate us, but they don't hate us that much. And if you really hated somebody with that level of passion, slowly pushing them out of existence would not be the way to go. They would come up with a faster, more direct method. But too many of these people, these political dissidents, they're all ideologues, and they imagine that ideology rules everything, and that's not true. What rules things are opportunism and incentive. And if you have an opportunity to seize power and you're incentivized to do so, if you think there's a strong chance you're going to win this, well, then you're likely to do it. And if that's not the case, then you're not likely to do it. So this primarily is, and this meme, like I said, it's been on my hard drive on my computer for a while, and I just saw it last week or so, and I thought, man, this is so timely. But this is where everybody is, for better or worse, and And let's get rid of that. Let's go back to me. And as America's standard of living lowers, and I try to be as evangelical as I can about Bitcoin and hard money and the U.S. Federal Reserve. Hopefully, I can get through to people trying to talk about their everyday concerns, their sort of bread and butter concerns, their economic concerns, rather than elaborate conspiracy theories about, the Rothschilds and Semitic peoples and, all the rest of it, which, regardless of how factually correct it is, people think you come off the wrong way. I would rather talk to you about something that you get and you just do the right thing anyway. I don't care, why you do something. It's just only what counts to me is your behavior, right? I mean, if you rob a bank, it's the problem we have with you is that you robbed the bank. If you say, well, I robbed the bank to get food to feed a baby, well, your intention doesn't fucking matter. Your actions matter, right? I intended to do this. I intended to get up out of bed and go to work today. But, I kind of slept in, but, I'm expecting my boss to pay me anyway. Well, that's not how shit works. You're going to get your ass out of bed, shower, shave, put on some nice clothes, and brush your teeth and go off to work in order to get paid. That's what you do matters, what you intend, what you feel, what you believe. I could care less about that, and the right and the left, oftentimes both are overly concerned with someone's state of mind or their beliefs or whatever. I don't care, that the Jews think what and believe what they believe. I don't really care. What I care about is they actually have power to enact those beliefs. You know what I mean? I just tweeted, I retweeted somebody that said, tens of millions of people complain about something for decades, to their legislatures, like, I don't know, like say even gun control, fighting against, gun control is unconstitutional, right? And it goes nowhere. The ADL says we need red flag laws. Boom, in 4 days, the legislation is written. In 5 days, it's passed, So this is the world we live in. Now, again, I don't care what you think and believe. It's how you behave, and that your behavior controls the laws that are written and affect what I'm allowed to do and not do, and what I'm allowed to say and not say. That's my problem. You can have any delusional fantasy about you're chosen by God or whatever. Completely unimportant to me. But the fact that you control the people who have power over me, or who can throw me in a cell, or take away my bank account, or make me unemployed, we have a problem now. And the reason why the politicians do what the ADL says is because the ADL represents the donor class, and the donor class, we all know, is it's all small hats, or 75% small hats, and nobody does what they want because they think, oh boy, is it just wonderful? I was born to be your slave. This is let's go. Let's go show these guys. Let's show these dudes. Right? Literally, nobody wants to work for these two. Right? I mean, you look at these guys and think, really? I was born to be their slave? Really? No, I don't think so. You look at guys like that, and at best they're fucking special needs. I mean, they're riding the short bus to yeshiva without a doubt. And for people like that to decide what your religion is, what you're allowed to fucking eat, where you're allowed to go, what you're allowed to say, what you see on television, people are naturally going to chafe at that. If they want to decide that for themselves, let them decide it for themselves. But that they decide it for others is the cause for friction everywhere, all over the world throughout the centuries. And they do not mind their own business, and so sooner or later, even people who are distracted and disoriented and overworked and bamboozled, eventually they catch on, and then things get ugly again, and the people who are at the core of it, who are responsible for it, never ever see their role in it. Here, let me put something in the chat here. This is that's my Twitter handle right there. So if you Twitter search for that, you should find me. But yeah, so when I look at Bitcoin, what I'm seeing is a hard money that is permissionless, right? It's global. It's nearly instantaneous, about 10 minutes for a transaction. And those guys don't control it and they can't stop it. And this is, I've said this before, this is a type of enemy they've never had before. They have a strategy of controlling the people at the top, controlling the leaders of any given country, and then you control the country. Well, now that they've destroyed all the nations, sort of what's left, right? That opens up something like Bitcoin. It opens up a possibility for Bitcoin. It's the sort of thing where, and these guys never even understand what they do wrong. I live in New Jersey, and it was last year I saw a billboard. I don't know if you guys travel on the roads a lot. I'm on the road all the time. I drive for a living. And billboards these days are like gigantic television screens. They don't have moving pictures, but they do in the same way that I changed the photos from the share screen. That's how billboards change. Various different messages, but they're lit up and they're glowing. There was one in blah 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 by Teterboro Airport, where I am all the time, that said that if you buying diamonds, when you buy diamonds in the month of whatever, it was like February of last year, around Valentine's Day, that a portion of those proceeds are going to go to cancer research. And I'm like, well, you fucking look at these guys. The diamond industry is completely collapsed, right? Totally worldwide collapsed. Israel's biggest export is completely collapsed. Well, why is it collapsed? Destroy the traditional family, destroy a husband and wife, right? Define marriage as two homos and a fucking donkey, right? Well, nobody needs to buy diamond rings anymore. Now, nobody needs to buy diamond rings in the first place, but one of your top quality fucking businesses where you pay an African pennies a day to dig a rock out of the ground, and then you pay some Asian pennies an hour to cut it and polish it, and then you sell it to a white person, for tens of thousands of dollars. That's a great scheme. I mean, what's better than that? The profit margin is, God knows what fucking millions of percent. But destroy the family, and nobody would, you don't have young white, hardworking couples who save their future taking a portion of their savings and buying one of these dumb shiny rocks anymore, because why get married? You're encouraging women to be, amoral, semi-prostitutes, and you've convinced young men that bouncing from chick to chick to chick, is the only route to happiness. Well, there goes the fucking diamond industry, pal. Because if you don't have young couples coming together and staying together forever and ever with the diamond that symbolizes their fucking commitment to each other, there goes your industry. These guys, literally, they shoot themselves in the foot at every turn, and they look around to see who's after them. They're doing it to themselves. Judas Flychai, you are so high. Indeed you are, sir. Indeed you are. The other thing on billboards I see, man, advertisements for marijuana dispensaries everywhere in every fucking state. dispensaries with 3 or 4 different locations. There are radio commercials that where there's some sort of proxy organization that will go get your marijuana card for you. Like, they make it sound like it's so difficult. Like, you have to go to the doctor, you have to pay for the doctor, you have to wait, make an appointment, and then pay for your meds. Call 1-800 weed guys or whatever the fuck is. We'll do it for you, and you don't have to make an appointment. And blah 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 blah. Look at this. I know what you're thinking. He's out of Uzo. This is a crisis, but I am a forward-thinking man. This is not my first live stream. Oh no, not by far. I have brought reinforcements, just like Joe Biden has 30,000 National Guardsmen. I have a fresh supply of Greek Kool-Aid to continue the stream. Yeah, but for me, Bitcoin puts you in a position where you're no longer subject to the manipulations of central bankers and the engineered crashes, the artificial pumps on some assets, while others artificially depressed so they can scoop them up, and this sort of thing. This really does free a lot of people. And like, I remember when I first stumbled into this, and I stumbled into this shit by accident from Twitter, like 2016. I think from Red Ice, from the Red Ice feed. What do I do for work? I drive boxes from point A to point B. Electrician's good. Yeah. Listen, electricity's not going away. I would do it. If you could become a licensed electrician, you could make money for the rest of your life. No, I without being too, I work in specialty logistics. Basically, I drive things from point A to point B. So, and my area of operations, though, I could go further, but I tend to go as far north as Burlington, Vermont, and as far south as Virginia Beach, although Virginia Beach has not worked out for me recently. So, probably like Dulles, Virginia, which is just past Washington, D.C. A lot of airport stuff, basically they deliver aircraft parts for private jets, which sounds sexy and exciting, but in fact is absolutely shitty. Your man, Rick. I only have a few K in BTC. Will that be enough to retire early? Depends on how old you are, bro. I'm 55. You know what I mean? So if you're my age, I don't know. I don't think so. If you're 30 or 25, yeah, probably. That's really likely. The other thing I linked down below, you got to look in the links. There's what's called the Bitcoin stock to flow model. And this is a mathematical model, right? And I like this, the guy that did this. He's a Dutch guy. He's a Dutch finance guy who works for, nobody knows who exactly he's staying anonymous. He calls himself Plan B. And he's also on Twitter, Plan B at, I think it's at 100 trillion USD. But Plan B on Twitter, look for him. He's an excellent follow. And so this is what he does for a living, is he makes mathematical models of different assets and what their market value is and what they're likely to do. This is what he does for a living. So he got interested in Bitcoin and whatever. He did this for Bitcoin. There's a couple of different versions of it because he had to change the model. But the guys who model these things for finance have an attitude. And this is what they say. All models are wrong, but some models are useful. And this is something political people don't understand. If you're looking at this from an engineering point of view, from a what can we learn point of view, no mathematical model can correctly account for all the things in reality. It's either going to be too sensitive or not sensitive enough. You're going to include too many indicators or not enough indicators, or too many inputs or not enough inputs, or the wrong inputs. So all mathematical models are wrong. All of them are wrong. But some of them are useful. That is to say, you can learn something. When the model fails, you learn something, and then you make a better model. Now, for people who want to be political, they want to be ideological or even religious, you when there's a failure of your ideology or your religion or whatever, you don't get to go, wow, I got to rethink this, because everyone else in that group says, no, 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 no. You have to double down. You can't abandon the orthodoxy or framework of beliefs. You know what I mean? You must stay here. You must double down on this, because that's an anomaly. It's a one-off. Instead of saying, okay, wait a minute, our ideas aren't perfect, they don't work, maybe they need to be modified, that is considered heresy. That is considered a betrayal when you're an ideologue. But when your goal is to determine the value of something, in this case, this guy's a stock market guy, but if you're an engineer or some other thing, if your goal is to create a way of looking at the world that is closer to the truth than you were yesterday or last time, it's a very different worldview. So anyway, Plan B, and it's getting on Twitter, PLAN space capital letter B, Plan B on Twitter. He did the stock to flow model, and then he modified and called it the stock to flow cross asset model. Why did he modify it? The model predicts Bitcoin's price over time based on the scarcity of Bitcoin. The problem is it was Bitcoin versus the US dollar. And as we all know, money printer go burr, right? Money printer keeps going burr. So with the fixed number of Bitcoin that are capable of being mined any given day, right, until each halving, and then right, the supply shock is built into the model. With the fixed total supply of Bitcoin and a fixed number that you can get in any day, and no matter how much more energy you put into it or how much you try to rush it, you're only getting, right now I think it's 900 Bitcoin a day, and not one more. But the US dollar, like I said, Trump presided over $6.2 trillion in stimulus. Biden's going to throw in 1.9, another 1.9 before before the end of January. Like, they're just going to keep dumping trillions and more trillions and more trillions, because they can print them instantly. And I try to tell people, you can't print gallons of gasoline that quickly. You cannot print a pound of hamburger that quickly. You cannot print houses that quickly. You cannot print clothing that quickly. So the things that take greater time and investment, whether it's clothing, medicine, housing, food, energy, whatever it is going to go up relative to the dollar, which is going to go down. So what Plan B had to do was he had to abandon the Bitcoin versus USD model, and he switched it to Bitcoin versus gold model for a number of reasons, but primarily because it is widely believed we know how much gold there is in the world. Okay, it's like $9 trillion worth of gold. And every year the supply of gold increases like 1% or 2%. So the rate of inflation for gold has been very steady for the last, 50 or 75 years. So comparing something that is fixed, absolutely, Bitcoin, with a mining cap, there's only so many you can make in a day, fixed absolutely, versus something that's relatively fixed, like gold, is a better model. So that's why the current Bitcoin, the best Bitcoin model is called a Bitcoin stock to flow cross asset model. So Plan B did it for gold, real estate, and a bunch of other things. And it's a better model. His first one was not that good. It failed as he expected it to fail, and then he modified it to be a little closer. Okay, so we're going to see. And right now it's going pretty good. Again, link down below. You should see something that says Bitcoin stock to flow model with a link, and you click on that link, and you can get a fuller explanation of it. And there's real-time versions of that up online. People ask, how high can Bitcoin go? And if you believe that Weimar Germany is coming again, or Weimar conditions, or Zimbabwe conditions are coming to the United States, and it's a fair argument that that's going to happen, Where's let's pick another. Let's pick something else to show up here. No, not that one. We already showed that one last week. What is this one? I gotta. Oh, I didn't send my. I keep grabbing stuff off of Twitter and different platforms and emailing it to myself so I can use it on streams. But I went. No, that was that one. Fuck. 5555. Where is it? Stick with me here. Ah, crap. I don't have it. I don't have it. Will this stream stay up? Yeah, unless somebody rats me out. My last channel, I had a different channel, which I started like fucking 12 years ago. Me and my stupid motorcycle friends used to put video cameras on our bikes and go riding as fast as we could down twisty roads. And this was, believe it or not, this is also a YouTube thing, like motorcycle videos. And that's all it was. And this was like crappy before digital video stuff. Big, gigantic video cameras as big as a brick. And I used to ride high performance bikes. Me and some friends. And that's that's the only reason why I started a YouTube channel. And it laid there like unused for I don't know how many years. And then I started getting into this other stuff. I was like, you know what? Let me make all those videos private and start putting up other stuff. And things were going pretty well. And I had my previous channel, I think I was like, even with my shitty promotional skills and my lousy fucking demeanor, I think I had like 225 or 230 subscribers. But one of them was a guy from the Jonathan Pohl universe, from the Luke Ford universe, who was from Texas. And I've never met anyone from Texas that was worth spitting on if they were on fire. But a guy named Donald Robertson, and he was whatever. He was a pothead and a porno addict and every other fucking kind of jerk off. And I actually debated him once. Not that he was on a stream with me once. And we were talking about what's his name, the one from Florida, George Zimmerman, that got into the Trayvon Martin thing. And I try to be kind to this guy. He's from Texas. He had a heavy accent. I'm from New York. I understand I got a heavy accent as well. But I'm like high verbal IQ guy, and he was not. And I was trying to like treat him with kid gloves and not like just fucking smash him. But it was real awkward and long. But he ended up being one of my hate watchers on my channel. And he was in a chat somewhere, and he was like, well, you know, I really hope someday to visit Israel, but I've made too many anti-Semitic remarks online, and I doubt they'd let me in. And I screenshotted that, and I did that on the stream. I was like, you motherfucker, you know, and I went off on him. And then shortly thereafter, amazingly, you might find this shocking, my channel got struck for hate speech this and hate speech that, and all these videos I had up, and the whole thing got taken down. So I had to make up this channel, which the original, my first, the first name of the channel was something that Tariq Nasheed had wrote. Tariq Nasheed, that, you know, the wannabe intellectual, the black dude. He said, you know, he's always concerned that Black America's under attack. We're being hunted. And he said, you know, America is a nation of multiracial white supremacy, which just basically means everybody hates black people. And it's not at all because of the way they behave. No, it couldn't be that. So I thought that was the most hilarious doublespeak. So I initially named this channel Multiracial White Supremacy. And although I'm keeping the avatar, where's the avatar? Up in the corner, you know, of the Black Ku Klux Klansman. If you look at that, there's a photo of the Ku Klux Klan. They're like in a field, and it's a giant burning cross, and they're all in their white uniforms and stuff. And I looked at it, and somebody pointed out that all these guys are standing there. Some of them have their hands like inside their little Klan uniforms like this, so you can't see it. But other ones, they have their hands like this, and you can clearly see from the light from the burning cross, some dudes have white hands, and other dudes black hands. And so I cropped that out of the photo, and I made that the avatar for this channel because I thought it was hilarious. Because you realize that everybody knows, and I don't know if you know, but I was in Charlottesville back in 2017. I was down there in Charlottesville, and I was that whole fucking shit show. So that's my alt-right, far-right extremist street cred. And the fact that I've made no money off it, and I'm not Nick Fuentes or Baked Alaska or any of those guys who are like super popular, social media dissidents or whatever. Probably means I'm probably even on my worst day 20 times more legit than they could ever be. But yeah, so I just think that that's hilarious. That the Ku Klux Klan allows blacks in the Ku Klux Klan, and when you look at that photo deeper, and it's somewhere in Google, it's like you see all these guys if you look at their feet and in their Klan outfits, it's not just a bed sheet, it's like a pointy bed sheet on their head and whatever, like a big, like a kimono thing. But if you look at their feet, they're all wearing suit pants and like a wingtip Oxford shoes. You know what I mean? Which the Ku Klux Klan is supposed to be a bunch of dumb rednecks who hate black people just because of the color of their skin. Like uneducated, angry white people or whatever. But when you look at the feet of all these guys, when you look deep into the photo, and you go, wait, they're all wearing expensive shoes. They're all wearing suits. Like they're all wearing, and then there's actually two guys with black hands in the picture. So, all of this stuff is fake and gay, as the kids say. It's all fake and fucking gay. Like the Boogaloo Boys, like the let's take our AR-15s to the Capitol thing that they were going to do today. Like the Christmas bomber in Nashville, every dopey fat, Kentuckian or whatever. Not that they're all Kentuckians, but riding around in an RV, and I see tons of them on the road. They're going to be pulled over by the cops fucking nonstop. They're going to make dorky middle America, people who just want to drive around and see, let's see this great land of ours. In their minds, they're like, amber waves of grain is fucking ringing through their heads, and they're gonna take their RV to fucking whereverville, and they're gonna be harassed like they're Osama bin Laden's fucking second cousin. So, yeah, I leave the streams up. I don't generally take them down unless I'm like really drunk and acting like a total asshole. Then I take them down because I don't look so good. Which I've done that before. Because I occasionally stream when I probably should be streaming. However, what do we got? We still got 3 viewers. There's somebody hiding out in the shadows. I wonder who that could be. But and I try to promote this on Twitter, but I couldn't load it fast enough. Oh well. Yeah, the thing is, I was. And I still am, arguably, ideologically, of extreme right guy. I lift every day. You know what I mean? I own guns. I work like a fucking dog. I don't apologize for being born white. That doesn't mean. What that means just what it means. You know what I mean? That's it. And but I work with all sorts of people, and I have a lot of experience. Who's that? Yo, what's up? Who the hell are you? Welcome to the show. I don't know who you are, but how'd you get here? Require. Oh man, how could I even say that? And I'm explain. That's some kind of Latin thing. But you're a man, Rick. That makes me think of Elric of Melniboné. That makes me think of Michael Moorcock novels I used to read when I was a kid. Kind of name like that. Okay, so Judas Flychai knows you, Requies? Well, all right. Judas Flychai is vouching for you I'm gonna give you a you're schizo. Yeah, well, I find that highly unlikely. I grew up with a mentally ill parent, and my father's diagnosis was manic depressive with schizoid tendencies. So I'm used to quite a bit more outrageous stuff than most people are. Also, I've been a working class guy. I was a cab driver in New York for like 15 years at night. I got stuck up. I got almost stuck up. I got shot at. I have more adventures and more stories about more people than I can shake a stick at. And particularly the cab driver stuff, which I did for decades at night. Judas Fleischmann does not know you do not know this cat. Well, I put a link up on Gab, so maybe this is a Gab guy. I don't know who or what he is, but I don't recognize the name unless it's maybe somebody that got bounced from somewhere else and they had to remake their account. Who knows? Anyway, but I got a ton of experience at night in and around the ghettos of New York City in the 90s. And so a lot of stories about a lot of things. And to be honest, a lot of stuff kind of mushes together in your head. Like it's tough for me to pick out, like of the 8 times somebody told me X, like which one was the most extreme, which one was the most memorable. And sometimes it blends together in my head and I fuck up the story. But I used to tell, and I still do tell a lot of stories on Jonathan Poll's channel about places I've been and people I met and various different things. And like, I'll give you the perfect example. Like I said, I deliver aircraft parts for a living, and there on Nantucket Island is an airport. I guess for small private planes, it's probably can't land much more than a Cessna up there. But I had to deliver a part there, and the timing of it is you have to take a ferry from Hyannis, Massachusetts to Nantucket Airport, and the ferry stopped running at a certain time. I think it's 9 o'clock at night. 9 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. is the last ferry from Hyannisport to Nantucket. It's Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard right next to each other. So the Obamas live on Martha's Vineyard. Nantucket is, that far away in the map. So it was one of those things where it was going to be too late for me to do. Like I got to Hyannisport. I got a ticket on the second to last ferry to Nantucket. The price of the round trip was $72, $35 out, $35 back. It's a long ways out. It's a high-speed hydro ferry, like the fucking James Bond fucking thing. It skims up along the water and shit. But it's all high-end people up there because the minimum house price on Nantucket is $1 million. They don't give a maximum. You don't know what it really costs, but anyway, so I was waiting for the ferry, and I met this older couple, boomer couple. I call myself a boomer, but I'm not really a boomer. And back and forth, so chatting with them. And this was when it's 2016. So Trump is still running to try and win the Republican nomination. He hasn't secured the nomination yet. You get on the ferry, the food is shit, but they had what was it? I'm trying to remember. It was like 6 different wines you could order. Like you get a 20 ounce, not a full 750 ml bottle of wine, but it was like a 20 ounce bottle of wine. And there were, I want to say like 8 craft beers. So you could get like Shock Top and whatever New England beers there were. But it wasn't the type of beer that working class people would drink. It was like, again, it was the craft beer kind of people, right? And of course, as soon as I get on the boat, boom, 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 they start loading up with this. The food was shit, but I was starving, so I had to eat like the worst fucking roast beef and American sandwich I ever had in my fucking life. The bread in New England sucks. It's the absolute fucking worst. And anyway, so I got to take this fucking ferry across to Nantucket, and the boat had like 6 or 8 fucking flat screens, and of course what's on Trump and the fucking nomination, blah, 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 blah. And I'm talking with this older woman and her, I think it was her second husband. And we're chatting, and I have this small box. It says, I don't know what the fucking airplane part is. My job is to deliver the box. I don't look in it's like the transporter. You know, like that English movie, The Transporter, with that gay guy from England, Jason Statham, who's like a roided up ex-Olympian. He's like, dude, you drive the car. You don't look in the, you don't open the car. You don't fuck with me car, or whatever. I'm doing the wrong accent. But my job is to go from point A to point B to deliver something and not look at, I don't open it up, right? That's not my job. There's outside of the box is a packing list of shit that I will oftentimes have to read to somebody, part numbers, blah, 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 tail numbers of aircraft, et cetera, but I don't open the box. That's a big fucking no-no. It's all aircraft parts, but it's expensive shit. They don't want some jerk fucking around with it. That's all it is. So I'm on this ferry, blah, blah. I'm chatting with this woman because she saw I had jersey plates on my car and she had jersey plates on their pickup truck. And I think I asked him, like, what was the cost to drive a car, like take the car across on the ferry? And it was like way more than $35. So I'm like, all right, I'll take a fucking regular passenger thing. And so, like I said, all the flat screens are blaring Trump, blah, 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 RNC, winning the fucking, securing the nomination, this and that. And everybody in the fucking boat hated him. Like they were all in a pissy fucking mood. And I got my little fucking piece, my little box, and I'm chatting with this woman, and she's like, oh, this and that. And there's a younger couple. The dude used to be a weightlifter. He used to be a Chad, but he's like going soft. And I just started lifting, and I was like going to the gym and stuff. So I'm like looking at everybody's checking to see are they fit? Are they not fit? Do they lift? Do they not lift? Like, you know, what do they look like? And everybody was soft. Everybody. The kids were soft. Everybody's soft. And so, but except this guy, you could see he was once a real fucking athlete, but now he's married. He's got a young wife, gorgeous fucking woman. This guy looks handsome as a fucking god. I mean, like retarded. Like, talk about American elites. These really were that, you know, but they had a little baby. The woman had just had a baby. And so they're like the baby's the whole focus. And you put a fucking 6-month-old baby next to a 65-year-old woman, and the 65-year-old woman just fucking, her brain just melts out of her ears, right? So, and they're like, she's like, oh, you have to tell when the child's old enough to go to school, you have to make sure it goes to private school. And I'm sitting there across from them, and they're very polite people. They're like, even though, listen, I try not to sound like what I am, but I said, excuse me. I said, are there private schools on Nantucket? And she said, oh, of course there has to be private schools. And I'm like, private schools on an island 40 miles off the coast of fucking Massachusetts, where every house cost $1 million. What the fuck? But I said to her, really? I said, ma'am, I can't remember what the woman's name was. I said, I myself am a product of the New York City public schools. And I would think that the public schools on Nantucket would be, you know, some measure above what I lived through as a student. And she's like, without missing a beat, like she didn't even fucking, like she's like, yeah, we know you're a fucking pro. We know you're a fucking working class drone. She said, no, you don't understand. She says, my daughter has my grandchild goes to private school on Nantucket, because when they put him in the public schools, he was only one. Well, he was only 5 of 40 students who were native English speakers. So like, you have to unpack that. What do you mean? Of the 40 kids, or 35 or 40 kids in the class, only 5 spoke English as their home language, which means all the rich people stopped hiring working class whites from Massachusetts to cut their grass, to cook their food, to make their beds, to do et cetera, et cetera. Instead, they imported either Mexicans or Guatemalans or whatever. And guess what, kids? when Pedro and Florentina are done cutting your grass and and making your beds, they're gonna sit around. Nosotros, hola, 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 linda. What's up? Hey, pretty girl. Hola, chica. Pretty soon, some cerveza is gonna come out, and Pedro and Florentina are gonna make little Jose. And what are you gonna do? It's America. You can't have this kid not go to school. This kid has to go to school, except he's a mestizo kid, who's maybe like 90 IQ up against elite whites who are fucking 108, 110 IQ. Uh-oh. And when there's one in the class, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, half the class, 2/3 of the class, 90% of the fucking class, you can't have baby Festus or your darling Brunhilde, the future fucking ballet dancer. She can't be with these people because they're going to drag her down. So you have to start private schools. There needs to be private schools on Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. Why? Because the elites want cheaper labor. And this was like such a fucking bolt in my fucking brain. Such a fucking... this woman had no idea. These people have no idea they are the cause of this. Every horrible thing that's coming, every black versus brown versus Latin versus this one versus Asian versus whatever, all the fucking violence, all the friction, all of everything is coming because the elites want cheap fucking labor. They already have God tier wealth, but that's not enough. They have to make sure you have less. This thing, you see these memes on Twitter and whatever, eat the bugs, live in the pod, blah, 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 blah. That's what they really want. They fucking really want that. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to get it, but they really want that. They've got so much that it isn't enough that they have more. In order for them to feel pleasure, you have to have less and less and less and less and less and less. And for me, Bitcoin is the escape valve from this, right? Because they control the politicians and they control the Federal fucking Reserve, and the Federal Reserve, which is the 6th biggest money center banks in the year fucking 1913, right? Which is mostly Jews and some elite whites. They control the politicians, and the politicians control us, so that you can step out of that fucking system, that we can have an alternative system of value, Bitcoin, which is permissionless and unstoppable. Means you have a way to get the fuck out of their nightmare. That's what it means to me. And that, having met a few of these people, and again, like I said, I deliver aircraft ports for private jets. I've been in private jet ports up and down the East Coast, and I've seen these people up close, and I've watched them, and they're mostly miserable fucking cunts. They really are. None of them are happy fucking people. Regardless of all the material wealth that they have, they're unfucking happy people. And anything that occurs, like they are the least self-aware human beings. I mean, they're like fucking millennial level self-aware. They're like Zoomer level self-aware, which is to say zero. So yeah, listen, these streams will stay up. I got a reputation. If you go to I also have a link to my BitChute down there. If you go to my BitChute channel, there is my fucking greatest work ever. It's a pity my mom did not live to see it. That I put it up as Athens versus Jerusalem, which was a live stream I did against a guy named Doovid, who's all over YouTube, Doovid. He was from the Luke Ford thing and whatever. He's been on Adam Green's No More News channel when Adam Green used to have a channel on YouTube. And he's a Jewish guy who thinks he's fucking hot shit with argument. And I fucking talk about blown the fuck out. You have never seen a blowout like this. So if you go to my BitChute channel, again, the link is down below, and you scroll through the videos. This is a long video. It was part of a live stream that was 82 or 92 minutes long. I would skip, if I were you. You got a high-speed, high bandwidth connection, like cable internet. Skip to the 21-minute mark, because it's like 92 minutes, and then you could watch me and Duvid get into this. And Duvid is a Jewish guy who lives in Detroit, whose mother's a big shot lawyer in Detroit, who has a job helping Hispanics get on welfare. He attended Columbia University. I don't know if he got a degree from there or not, but he attended psychology classes with the one and only female student of Sigmund Freud. What? Page not found. BitChute link. Fuck. Wait a minute. How is that even possible? That is so fucked up. That is profoundly fucked. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. I'm going to look for, come on, you prick you. Dude, this fucking stream was legendary. This was my fucking, it got me maybe a fucking made man in the alt-right. I fucking destroyed this guy. I fucking destroyed him. It's fucking legendary. It's legendary. I'll see if I can't drop the link in the chat once. Mind you, I'm doing all this. I don't have, I do all my streams off my fucking smartphone. So it's a lot like having two wires into a potato connected to the internet. So that's the level we are operating at, because I'm not going to fucking pay $60 a month to live stream to people who wouldn't cross the street to save my fucking life. All right, BitChute's loading. Stay with me here. Stand by, children. Stand by. Okay, blah 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 blah. Come on. It's always bandwidth issues. You know what I mean? That's what it is. It's always bandwidth. This one. Copy. Stop that right there. I don't have to fucking pay. Let's see if I can I post this to my own chat? Paste. There it is. There it is. Copy that link. You should get right to it. It is fucking legendary. I wouldn't watch it right now. Take some time. Here's what I would do if I was you. This is my recommendation. You want to watch fucking fireworks. You want to watch somebody get destroyed. Blood sports, fucking primo blood sports. Get your food ready. Get your drinks ready. From the 21-minute mark to about the 82-minute mark. It's like an hour of. I literally, not kidding you. I deconstruct fucking Judaism from soup to fucking nuts. Literally from its origin to today. It was fucking legendary. It's hilarious as fuck. Sitting in my car at Newark Airport, not the car I own now, but an older version of the car I own now. I'm sitting in my car in the cell phone waiting lot at Newark Airport. And I was just fucking waiting for work because my work is on demand, right? It's not scheduled. So, I guess I saw that Jonathan Paul was streaming at the time. He was streaming from fucking Iraq. You know, he was in Suleimania, Iraq, and Suleimania, Kurdistan, or whatever the fuck he was. And I'm like, yeah, I'll jump on it. He sends me the link. I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I'll talk to some guy from Iraq. You know, this crazy German dude from, or American guy of German extraction, working as a professor in Iraq. And Duvid was kind of like stalking me. You have to understand, Duvid was like, his goal was like he wanted to battle with all the anti-Semites because he imagined like who the fuck he was, like he could out-argue people. And here's the thing with all of these chuckleheads on the dissident right and even the dissident left, but most of the dissident right, you have to understand, just because you can argue better than a gender dysphoric unicorn doesn't mean your worldview is fundamentally sound. It means you argued better than a gender dysphoric unicorn on Xanax. That's all it means. And so if you really want to test yourself, you got to go up against somebody who's fucking hard and strong. And realistically, the Semitic worldview is as weak as it can be. And if it were not for censorship, and control of the media, they literally would be blown the fuck out. Requies requiare. Do you think Jews are a race? Yes, indeed. I think they are. Jews are a race in the sense that they are a genetic people, people with specific genetic markers, and genetics is more than skin color, right? Race is more than skin color. I have, the charge of racism is such like the most bogus of bogus charges, right? Oh, I hate somebody because they have different color skin than me. Well, one, I didn't pick my skin color. Two, they didn't pick their skin color, right? So why am I going to hate you for some characteristic that you cannot change? Now, that you're a rapist, a murderer, a drug dealer, a thief, yeah, I can hate you for that. If there's among a certain group of people, a preponderance of rapists, murderers, thieves, con men, whatever, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and there's an obvious physical, obvious visual cue as to who might do what. Well, you know what? I would be an intelligent person if I looked and said, hey, you know what? This could be a problem. And so noticing that and saying that out loud causes people to behave differently. And for those who wish to control your behavior, what you think, what you do, see, say, eat, fucking believe, that's not good. You can't notice the truth. You have to be branded as a moral reprobate in the public eye. This, to be branded a moral reprobate, a morally bad person, is considered the worst ostracization you can have. And most people can't stand that, except I am not most people. What about Ashkenazi versus Sephardim versus all the other ones? You know what, Requiari, talk to what's his name? Talk to Judas Fly-Chai. You know what I mean? He's Jewish, and Mizrahi versus Sephardim versus Ashkenazi. Those nuances. I would go to the experts. I would go to them. Again, the issue is behavior, right? I don't care what you believe or what you think, but how do you behave? If you behave in a way that you want to take control of the economic destiny of people whom you consider subhuman, and that you have the moral right to do so, I have a problem with that. You should take control of your own economic destiny, the destiny of the group maybe you belong to. But if you don't belong to X group or Y group, I don't think you should command everything they do, think, and say. That makes me a dissident. That makes me a rebel. That makes me a thought criminal. Okay, I'll take that. But genetically, not really ethnically, right? Genetically, I'm Greek, right? So if I go to Greece, there's no way I'm going to be mistaken for a fucking Greek. There's like no way in fucking hell I'm going to be mistaken for one of those fucking people. I could speak 38 words of the fucking language. You know what I mean? Like, I can barely speak the fucking language. I could ask where's the bus or fucking order a meal maybe, but that's about all I can do, right? And culturally, I am miles away from them, you know? But so what is race and how much does race matter, right? That I'll bet you this, I could go there. I could probably go to Greece and sit in fucking anywhere, and have a conversation with people who think very, very different things than I do. And it would all be very civilized. And they wouldn't say I was a racist. And they wouldn't say I was a fucking misogynist or this or that or the other, or an Islamophobe, et cetera, et cetera. They'd say, you know what? Your particular apple fell very far from the tree. But yeah, there's some points of agreement here. I think they would get that. Whereas in some other cases, I don't think that's true. Like Black America, like I've had a number of conversations with this guy, Jonathan Pohl. He has a doctorate in history. He has his own channel called POHL, Pole Position. And again, that's where I first started going on live streams. And he shows up on this channel a fair bit, at least in the chat. And he spent 6 years of his life teaching in Ghana, right? In Accra, Ghana. And he's a smart guy, and he is very reality-based guy, in a lot of ways. And he noticed that there were a lot of Americans have moved to Ghana, Black Americans moved to Ghana, one, expecting it's Wakanda. It's not. Wakanda is not real. And two, expecting to be embraced as Africans by their fellow Africans, except that's not the way the Ghanaians treat them. And they find that unsettling. They thought they had in their mind an idea it was going to be like this, and it's not like this. Okay. Now for me, there's no way in fucking hell that I would land in Athens or Thessaloniki or fucking anywhere and expect to be taken as one of the locals. I am not one of the locals. Genetically, probably 98%, 98.5%. I am right there with them. Culturally, we are fucking worlds apart. Linguistically, worlds apart. You know what I mean? And I know that, and they know that. So don't pretend that would be true, right? However, for people whose lives are not working out for them the way they want, and they're looking for some sort of less desperate escape, they think, oh no, I'm really the reason why my life sucks is not because of my shitty behavior or the behavior of all the shitty people around me that I can't escape, but it's because I'm not in the motherland of whatever the fuck they think Africa is. And that's not true. That's simply not true. Ira Manrick in the chat. I believe in Black Hebraism. I know a guy, there's a guy in my industry who became a Hebrew Israelite, but he's whatever. Ira Manrick, I will go to the Ukraine and they will accept me. Well, if you're a white dude from America, you'll probably marry a chick with serious Scythian milkers, and she will cook you borscht. I never say borscht right. I know it's borscht, whatever. It's beet soup with fucking carrots, and when you put fucking sour cream in it, it is fucking off the fucking charts. It is off the fucking charts. It is the best maybe one of the best soups on the fucking planet. It's an incredibly good fucking soup. By the way, there's the other thing with this guy, this German guy, Jonathan Pohl. We invented, do streaming. What do we call it? Bourdain's Law. Anthony Bourdain, that the Jewish guy who was on the Food Network. He was on the Food Network. He was whatever. He was like a Jewish guy who was in the food industry, and he was like a sous chef or something in New York, and then wrote a tell-all book about who was snorting coke and who was banging who back in the days, and he became a celebrity. And then they gave him his own show, and he went around the world. He would eat different foods, and he would say, "We all have to race mix." That's basically what he would have to say. But he was like 50-something. He had a 20-something Italian girlfriend, like proper Italian. I mean, like not like New York Guineas, but I mean like real Italian. And he couldn't quite ring the bell. You know what I mean? He couldn't quite ring her bell. So she found some like 19-year-old fucking Italian weightlifter and whatever. They posted shit on social media, and Bourdain ended up hanging himself from a doorway, like this. Where's the fucking thing? From a door handle in a hotel room somewhere. And so anyway, but the whole idea we came up with, Jonathan Pohl and I came up with what we call Bourdain's Law, which I don't know how the fuck we came up with this, but which the law being like Poe's law, like what POE, Poe's law, any disagreement on the internet, regardless of where it starts, will eventually become a conversation about Hitler. Well, Bourdain's law was no matter what the live stream, no matter what you're streaming about, no matter where it starts, we'll always end up talking about food. So, because Mediterraneans are food-obsessed people. But yeah, the Ukrainians, there's parts of the Ukraine, Scythia, the ancient Greeks used to call it, that have like fucking Greek columns and shit. And I would love to fucking go there and look at those rocks. My goal in buying Bitcoin is to fucking have enough wealth to go stand in front of carved rocks on the other side of the planet. And that is the primary goal of my life. That's going to be meaningful to me, to stand in front of rocks carved by people who sort of kind of look like me thousands of years ago. That's my main goal before I croak. If I can make that fucking happen, that'd be great. And the more of those spots that I could hit, the happier I would be. I would earn more, whatever, Hellenism, points of Hellenism. I would get that much further up the fucking Mount Olympus. Ukrainian food is good. Yeah, there used to be a place way back in the fucking days. Christ, I was so drunk when we used to go there in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. That was like Ukrainian food and blini and stuff. And we used to go there with like shit-faced drunk at like 5 or 6 in the morning, because the bars in New York used to close at 4 in the morning. But you'd stay over there. It was like you stay later, and then we would go eat fucking blini and like fucking all like a bunch of Ukrainian foods. These places were run by Ukrainian guys. And then there was a place, I got into a bar fight one time with a heroin addict. What the fuck was the guy's name? The guy that ran the joint was called Stefan, and the bar was called, it was right on St. Mark's Place too. It was right on St. Mark's Place. And for the story, a friend of mine just flew in from California. We went to St. Mark's Place to go drink, and I put a $20 bill on the bar for a pitcher of beer, and the guy gave me back change of a 10. I said, no, I gave you 20. Back and forth, we argued. I said, he was like a skinny little fucking nothing. And this was me like being unwise. I'm always like too mouthy and unwise. This is why I'm going to die in the gulag. I'll be dead before the gulag's ever even built. I said, listen, you fucking junkie, give me my fucking money. And he punches me across the bar with he throws like a marshmallow. I was like, really, you want to go outside? He's like, oh, fuck you, blah, 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 blah. And I walked outside. This was one of those bars in Manhattan that's like below the sidewalk level. So you walk out of the bar, you have to walk up a couple of steps to get to the sidewalk level. This was a bit of luck on my part. Yeah, cabbage rolls, stuffed cabbages are popular throughout that whole area. So I walk out of the bar and I happen to stand on, if you've ever been on St. Mark's Place, they have trees that are like as thick as your fucking wrist. They're not like mighty oaks. They're like little skinny little sucking on exhaust fume trees in Manhattan. And I didn't even think about it. I just stood next to this fucking thing. And this guy had grabbed the pool stick and he came and he fucking swung the pool stick. And it didn't hit me because it hit the fucking tree first. I was like, oh, you motherfucker. And I grabbed the pool stick and now we're doing like one of those fucking twisty, trying to hit the guy with the pool stick thing. And I was quickly fucking overpowering this guy. But unfortunately, NYPD happened to be coming down the street at that exact moment, drove the car up on the sidewalk, fucking lights, whoop, 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 whoop. And they separated us. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Now everybody comes out of the bar and everybody's standing around. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm still sober. I'm like, I'm not even fucking drunk when this happens. And they separate us, blah, 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 blah. What's going on? This guy's the bartender. They probably know he's a dick, but whatever. And the guy says to me, he says, what happened? I said, I went in there, blah, 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 blah. He cheated me. And a cop goes, I said, listen, my buddy just came from California. I got a pocket full of money. I had a couple $100 in my pocket. I said, I'm not a fucking broke fucking nothing. This guy's a fucking junkie. He's trying to rob me. He said, what do you want to do? I said, if he presses charges, I'm pressing charges. He says, wait here. He walks over, comes back. He says, if you press charges, he goes and you go. Meaning we both go to Rikers Island that night. I said, if I want to let it go, he goes, you get your money back and you fucking walk away. I said, all right, done deal. Fucking NYPD used to be so fucking cool. So fucking cool. Cabbage, yeah, stuffed cabbages. Everybody thinks of, although not everybody. There's in Greek cooking, there's dolma or dolmadakia, stuffed grape leaves, rolled up grape leaves. There's two different kinds. The ones that have no meat in them that they give you in diners, which is like rice and fucking pine nuts and pinoli. You don't eat those. You want to eat the real ones that are like beef and onions and parsley. The Lebanese make them. A bunch of different people make them. The Sicilians make them as well, right? But you can't always get grape leaves. So when I was a kid and we grew up on Staten Island, we were surrounded by fucking Italians, by dumb fucking guineas all the time. And you couldn't get fucking grape leaves anywhere. So my mother would, and the other thing that Greeks do, they do the same thing with cabbages. You know what I mean? Stuffed cabbage rolls, cabbage leaves. And fuck it, if I didn't fucking love when my mother made fucking stuffed cabbages. Like fucking like off the chart. Love that fucking, oh my God. I would be so fucking excited. You're a man, Rick. Are you used to be Mark something or other and something or other, whatever? You have a family that works on Broadway as a stagehand. There are other stagehand people that have been in this, in these circles. What was his name? Mark Miller? Mark Miller? What's his name? Guy had a couple of different screen names. Yeah, stagehands. Listen, stagehands were making $250,000. You can't believe this. Like people outside of America or people outside of New York City cannot imagine that. Broadway stagehands were union workers making on average $250,000 a year working on Broadway. Because Broadway brought all these tourists. Nobody from New York went to Broadway, right? There were all these really expensive restaurants in Midtown, but you would like people from the Midwest and all over the country would come like, oh, we're going to New York. We're going to see a Broadway show. And the Broadway show would have one like big fucking actor, like big name draw, right? And all the other singers and dancers or whatever actors would be nobody. So the most of the payroll will go to the big name that drew in the crowds, and the Broadway fucking prices were like fucking through the roof. So you went to go to like dinner and the fucking show was like $800, $1,000 fucking dollars. You know what I mean? More even. That's if you were local. If you came up from Tennessee or some other place, or down from fucking New England or whatever, and it's like mom's birthday or your parents' anniversary or whatever, and you're going to stay at the Marriott Marquis, which is on 42nd Street and has this revolving bar that looks down over fucking, it looks down over Times Square. It's a giant bar, like a fucking tables to everything. It's fucking enormous. And it goes like this fucking fast. And you go past the windows and you can look down on all the traffic and the people and the fucking flashing lights and whatever. And you can have your drinks and you can have your dinner. At the Marriott Marquis, I worked there as a bartender many years ago. Question, when I was in my fucking early 20s. So all that, like tourists come from everywhere to do that, right? You know, and it's a big night for them. And it's nice. Don't get me wrong. It's really fucking nice. But like New Yorkers we don't fucking go anywhere near. Like, what are you, fucking crazy? I'm going to pay how much for what? You know, like, no way, we're not going to do that. But in the same way, if you live by fucking, what do they have in South Dakota? Where all the presidents carved into fucking what the hell am I talking about? You know where they have like Washington, Lincoln, and everything carved into the rock in South Dakota, North Dakota, one of the Dakotas. Like, you know, those people aren't super impressed by that because they see it all the time, but New Yorkers aren't super impressed with like Broadway shows and those restaurants, which are a bit overpriced, but they pay insane rents. Well, they used to. They're all destroyed now. Thanks, you commie fucks. But and I said this earlier, like you have it's tough if you're born outside New York City, but maybe if you're from London or some like whatever the major city is from where you live, it's like the dynamic place, it's like the exciting place, right? And so I was born and raised in New York City, right? So, and at this time and place in history, New York City is like it's at the center of the universe. And it feels so exciting, even though you're at the bottom of fucking things. You're not eating steaks at Smith and Wollensky's. You're not fucking making $150,000 a day on Wall Street, you know, but you like know all these cool places and like there's a vibe and energy and there's a sense of humor and a fucking, I don't know, it's special and electric, right? And New York has that, had that. Before that, it was maybe London. Before that, it was maybe Vienna, like in the 1500s. And then before that, it would be like Rome. And before that, it would be fucking Athens back in the day. But that exciting place, you know, like fucking where anything is possible. And that's all been destroyed now, right? Because the people who control the money have decided to fucking fuck everyone. Like it isn't enough that they have God tier wealth. That's not enough. They have wealth. Their children have wealth. Their grandchildren have wealth. Their great-great-grandchildren have wealth. That's not enough. You have to have less. You can't eat what we eat. We eat chicken, beef, and pork. You have to eat fucking bugs. You live in a 1,300 fucking square foot apartment. Oh my God, no, that sounds too much. You live in a 400 square foot fucking tube and you own nothing. So to defy that, to fight back against that, you know, makes you a bad person, makes you a rebel. And people think they're doing this with this ideology or that political ideology or nationalism or this or the other. And at the end of the fucking day, money talks and bullshit walks. You're a man, Rick. You would not have guessed the guy I knew made bank like that. I'm not sure. You're a man, Rick. Who are you talking to? Bro, what's up? I must be missing something in the chat. Okay. So, like I lost my fucking... Go back to my show notes. You think I don't have show notes? Oh, yeah, I got show notes. The narrative, right? Overall, the narrative is white people bad, brown and black people good, superior in every way. The problem is that isn't actually true. There's, in the world of heavyweight boxing, there's a guy, an English guy named Tyson Fury, who beat an American heavyweight boxer named Deontay Wilder twice. And he beat him he beat him fucking. The first time he beat him. Second time he beat him fucking bloody. Now here's the thing. Deontay Wilder, with the cornrows and everything else, he looks purpose built to be the heavyweight champion of the world. And you think, well, what does this fucking matter? But it has to do with incentive and belief in what's possible in a number of things. Deontay Wilder looked purpose built to win to be the heavyweight champion of the world. And he had the most powerful fucking right hand ever. And he's a puncher. He's a massive right hand puncher, which means you have to be planted. Your body's still, boom, you throw that fucking bomb. Back and forth, this fight happened, right? Requiesce. What the fuck does that mean? Say that not in Latin on the fucking chat, will you please? You're annoying me. I'm too fucking drunk to figure that out. And Latin, not my first language. All right, so Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury destroyed him. In fact, in the 12th round of their first fight, Tyson Fury, this was like a Rocky movie. You have to watch it. You can see it's on YouTube. Tyson Fury gets knocked out. A white guy who's like kind of bald, a little bit fat, with weird fucking legs, gets knocked the fuck out. In the 12th round. And they go, you could hear the crowd, everybody screaming, the fucking announcer go, it's over. Finally, Deontay won. And fucking Tyson Fury, bang, opens his fucking eyes. Not only does he get up, he doesn't get up on wobbly legs all fuck. He gets up and he fucking fights back. And you can see Deontay Wilder, his brain does not compute. How the fuck did this guy get up? How was he hitting me this hard? The fight ends, the first round. The first fight ends, and people are like, what the fuck? They gave it to the champ. Technically, in boxing matches, if the champ does not dominate, he loses the championship. But they gave it to him anyway. Then there was a rematch. So, what's what? Deontay Wilder is a massive puncher. He has a massive, super powerful right-hand punch that people literally call the eraser because he doesn't have movement. He doesn't have ring generalship. He doesn't have defensive skills. All he has is this, the fucking eraser. And there have been many fights with Deontay Wilder on the way up to the world championship was losing every round, but he's conditioned and he has the eraser. And sooner or later, bang, he's going to fucking knock you dead. He had the eraser. So there's two. That's a puncher, right? A puncher, a massive puncher, a big puncher. There are two ways to fight a puncher, right? Two ways. One way is to always come in at an angle, this angle. Never stand in front of him. You don't stand in front of him. You always come at the angle. You throw, uppercut, whatever. Like it's always at an angle. It's always at an angle. It's always at an angle. That's method number one. And that's what Tyson Fury did in his first fight. There's a second method. And the second method is what won Tyson Fury worldwide fame, which is you do not let him get set. A puncher needs to get set, body fucking locked, and weight centered, bang, and fucking punch you. But in order to get set, you can't be being pushed back. And Tyson Fury, in the second fight against Deontay Wilder, pushed him. Put his arms around them, pushed him. Never let him get set. He never got set. And then when Deontay Wilder was in the back foot, could not really transmit power, Tyson Fury battered the fuck out of him. The level of excuses that the black guy made were, my costume was too heavy. My water was drugged. He hid weights inside his gloves. Like a ridiculous number of fucking excuses to why he lost to a white guy. Because black men are superiors athletically, intellectually, every other way. That's the narrative. Who pushes that narrative? Same people that run the central banks, that run Wall Street, etc. Are the chosen people. People I showed before. Tyson Fury, who is, by the way, pretty J-wise, overcame this in a bunch of different ways. And they have a new dark-skinned champion who's going to fucking knock this white dude out of the heavyweight championship. And his name is Anthony Joshua, who's English, like Tyson Fury's English. But guess what? Even Joshua's people who loved Anthony Joshua go, you know what? He's more into the money and the endorsements than the fighting. And when they meet later on this year, we're picking fucking Fury. So the narrative that you can't win, there's nothing you can do, that you must submit. That in every way, those who are darker skinned than you are superior. This narrative is going to be challenged by reality. And reality and the U.S. federal government and all the powers of the U.S. federal government are going to be at war. So what should you do? Buy Bitcoin. Stack Satoshis. Stack sats and chill. Don't be like the Philly comedian kid thinking, oh, I can go into gang territory and say, fuck you, blah, 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 blah. Because when you're running around with your fucking smartphone thinking this is power, you're going to be up against people who understand real power, which is guns and fists and fucking knives. Don't confuse online, which is this, with reality. Don't do that. Try not to be emotionally influenced by what you see online to make you do things, right? Don't be like Pepe with what is it, Pepe earlier? Oh, fuck. I completely fucking shut that shit down. You fucking prick. Wow. This is the problem when I stream drunk, is I fucking forget what I want to do. And I end up wandering around like a drunken fucking boomer. Like a drunken boomer. Whatever. Don't react to online provocations. Oh, we're gonna have a rally. We're gonna bring our AR-15s, and we're gonna fucking be like gun waving psychopaths, and we're gonna fucking whatever. Right? By the way, if you hadn't noticed, this is a CERT pistol. It's a laser training pistol. It's not a real gun. I do not handle, although I do own. I do not handle live firearms, especially when I'm like fucking. How many fucking Uzos am I into this fucking stream? Like fucking 7, 6, 5? How many? A lot. I don't handle firearms when I'm drunk. It's just dumb, and I don't do it. Requiare. You should check out Mike Tyson's podcast with Tyson Fury. I admire Mike Tyson for a bunch of different things, but I don't know. He's good as a podcaster. The North is different from the South. Yeah, it is, but you know what? There are remarkably similar things. Like I said, I went to Charlottesville, right? When I went to Charlottesville, it seems odd now, but my big concern was that my car, because of out-of-state plates. Hold on. You know what? I'm gonna stop the cam. I'm gonna play the Greek fucking disco music for like 10 minutes while I come right back. All right, I'm back. What is this? Talking about Tyson Fury, how big he is. The thing about that narrative is white people are supposed to lose. They are physically, mentally, spiritually, et cetera, inferior to brown people. Now, who comes up with this narrative? It's the Rothschilds. It's Jacob Schiff. It's the central bankers of the world. Why? Because we are the people they need to knock off, and they failed to knock us off since fucking Greece and Rome and et cetera, et cetera. But they're still trying, and they're going to fail again. Tyson Fury, though, and I was not a fan of this guy until I watched him. Like, he's a genius. He looks like a dork, but he does everything to black boxers that Muhammad Ali used to do to white boxers. And like, having, for me in my lifetime, seeing that, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it's amazing. Like, it was always, why wasn't this done 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago? So he's going to defy the narrative. But here's the thing: when it comes to incentive and money and value and people want to see a certain thing, right? And you have to sort of create that thing. And if you look at not boxing but the UFC guys, that went further and further, sort of left wing. There were people who would be able to hold up fucking signs. This happened all the time at these UFC fights. They could hold up signs that said "Brown Power," meaning whatever, Brazilians, Mexicans, whatever, non-whites. But you think you could fucking hold up a sign that said, when there was who was that guy? Who's the fucking like whatever? Who's the guy with the big sword on his chest? Can't remember his name. You think you could hold a sign that said "fucking white power"? No, you couldn't do that. So they kind of quit all that, and the UFC business model has changed because the business model matters. The dollars at the end of the fucking day, the dollars, or in my opinion, the Satoshis matter at the end of the fucking day. The UFC used to have a business model, which was sign up for UFC 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 27, 37, 159, et cetera, because you had primarily, not exclusively, but, primarily white fighters fighting on pay-per-view at $29 a pop. And you could get, I don't know how many people, 15, 20, 30 million people paying fucking $20 a pop to watch this guy fight that guy. But as the fighters became not white versus white, but white versus brown, whatever. And then they became browner and browner, and there was no more white champions. Amazingly, and the UFC notices this, I fucking guarantee you they notice nothing else. The revenues, the pay-per-views, nobody wants to pay for it. Brown people, listen to me, brown people or black people are not going to pay money to watch brown people beat up white people, which they can see probably if they went outside their door on a given Friday night. So the business model changed, and they're like, well, no, you get this app and you pay $6 a month, and then you have unlimited fights, blah, 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 blah. I know people who were like big UFC fans. And that didn't work. I don't know what the fuck works anymore as a business model, because understand, fighting this guy fighting that guy is a business you're putting on the show. And Dana White, God bless him, is a genius. He's a fucking genius at this shit. But you have a narrative problem. If white people are evil, bad, weak, and wrong in every way, and brown people are good, strong, and wonderful in every way. How do you make money off that? Because brown people ain't going to pay to fucking see that. They don't have the money anyway. They've already made 27 shitty financial choices. Like I know guys that I told them to buy Bitcoin a year and a half ago, 2 years ago when it was 9,000, when it was fucking, way back. And the guy's like, no, I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And this guy ended up buying a house or whatever. But his brother, Spanish guys, his two Spanish guys, listened to me and said, oh, yeah, I'm going to buy Bitcoin. And his brother bought Bitcoin like fucking a year ago. So one of them has a house that is appreciated 1%. And one of them has fucking Bitcoin that's appreciated fucking 101%. Fucking sucks, right? Well, so what the hell does that have to do with white people fighting black people on TV for fucking money? Who pays for this fucking thing to happen? Black people or brown people ain't going to pay for this to happen. They're already so deep in debt. They've made such shitty financial choices that they don't have an extra $29.95 to pay for your fight. They'll wait and watch it for free on YouTube 2 weeks from now. Well, that's not a good fucking business. That is not a good fucking business model. So these guys got a fucking real fucking problem. They have a real problem. Add to that, some people, we don't know who they are, but they all seem to be communistical. I mean, they're not small hats, right? No way they're small hats. Looking to choke people to death. No. Oh, fuck, I grabbed the wrong bottle. I grabbed the empty one. Where's the full one? Oh, here's the full one. Thank God. Thank Zeus or whoever the fuck fills the bottles of Ouzo. What's going on in the chat? I'm wandering too far away. What the fuck? Jesus Christ! What on God's earth are you people in the chat talking about? The King of the Gypsies. You're talking about Tyson Fury. All right, he's a big fucking dude. Yeah, he's like 6'7" or 6'9" and 290 pounds. His mom was pregnant 14 times, but only 4 survived. E.R. Manrick, I don't know that that's true, but it's an interesting thing to add to the chat. Requiare, E.R. Manrick, I hope you have success with the electrician work, man. Yeah, well, as long as people want to live fucking indoors with light, yeah, he's going to have some success. Brock Lesnar, yeah, that's the one with the big sword in his chest. Brock Lesnar, thank you. I couldn't remember the guy's fucking name. Extraordinary looking human fucking being, right? But and he had a pretty good amount of success. Your man, Rick. Right now, I'm comfy on scholarship money, although I haven't done a single thing in uni, putting it all in BTC. Your man, Rick, this is a smart thing to do. This is Requiare. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, my dude. Here's the misquote. The original quote from J.P. Morgan, the original when he was alive, J.P. Morgan was, put your eggs in one basket and watch that basket. Those who advocate a widespread approach, like you have to disperse your monies, you have to disperse your efforts. You put some in this stock, some in this bond, some in this, some in that. They don't know what's going to win. And the real elites know what's going to win because they're going to win. So put all your eggs in one basket and watch that basket. But if you're not in the right crowd, if you're not in the in crowd, you don't want a fucking basket to put it in. James, don't fall for the narrative. What is requiare? What is the narrative? Which narrative are you speaking of? And by the way, the narratives by which I live, the things that I think are the most important are all the fucking dumb fucking Greek shit from 2,500 years ago or further, right? That's the shit I think is like retarded important. And that puts me outside the realm of a lot of people. So, Recari, if you want to come on, by the way, if you want to come on the screen, come on stream, and you want to chat about this, or would you prefer to have a disagreement or some sort of, not me confronting you and smashing you to fucking bits? No, that would never happen. You'd like to have a polite conversation. I'll have a polite conversation with you if you're polite, but, no kidding, no lie. Who defines the narrative? What narrative is defined? Again, if you go to my, hopefully, I put my BitChute fucking link. Oh, look, I'm fucking look at my hair in the fucking. Okay, look. What is important is that you put all your faith in the blood sacrifice of Jesus. Well, for some people, yes. For most of my family, yes. For me, no. That if you, so let's talk about Christianity, right? Christianity, as it is widely understood, is largely a graft of Hellenism to Semitism. Almost all of Christian belief can be traced to Platonism or the eighth book of the Republic, written by Plato, where you ascend to the perfect city, heaven, where all your sins are written on the outside of you and all your virtues are written on the outside of you, and that's how you're judged, which is sort of kind of like what the Egyptians did a long time ago when you went after in Egypt, when you died, when your soul was measured against feathers and all this shit. And it's sort of vaguely like that. But all of Christianity can largely be traced to various different Hellenistic pre-Christian elements. There's not a lot to dispute that. So when you worship Jesus, you're kind of, like Jesus is not that far from Zeus, as you understand it. And if you base your beliefs on what can be provably written, what's fucking chipped into stone or whatever, already written, then you come to a conclusion that is not orthodox. If, however, you want comfort and security, right, then you're going to stay within the orthodoxy, and you're not going to read or think anything outside that orthodoxy. This is what you can think and believe. This is what you can look at and not outside that. Okay. Different people are going to have different ways of dealing with the world. Some are roamers and explorers, and some are those who stay and maintain what already exists. One could argue that each is necessary, but somehow we'll have to live together. And I think for white people, real white people, I'm not talking about Semitic people, pardon me, who pretend to be white, but real white people, whether the Mediterraneans, and we bust balls about this all the time online, Mediterraneans versus the fucking Nords versus the Teutonics versus the Celts. It's endless bullshit and it's fucking like joking fucking online. But if you're really going to talk about multiple worldviews, it's multiple worldviews within the within Europeanism, right? Whether you're a Mediterranean worldview or a Nordic worldview or a Celtic worldview or a Teutonic worldview, there's enough points between them that there can be some basis of agreement. But when you go to the Arab lands, when you go to the Semitic peoples, now you're talking about a very different worldview and a very different way of life. It is difficult, if not impossible, to make these things come together. Anyway, how long have I been going? Look, I've been going live for 2 minutes, 2 hours, 2 fucking minutes, 2 hours. Fuck, I'm drunk. 2 hours, 25 minutes and 33 seconds. So listen, at this point, I'm fucking rambling. I'm getting dissolute and not focused. So thank you guys for coming and sticking around as long as you have. I appreciate it. Make sure to smash up the like button and leave a comment below, depending on what you think of the stream. But yeah, definitely smash the like button or even the dislike button. Either way, give some feedback, smash it up, do it now. And I will talk to you guys again in the future. What I'm going to do is cut the camera, play the fantastic non-copyrighted Greek disco music, and talk to you guys next week. Thanks for showing up.